Good evening, good evening. I am going to wait to make sure that my sound is okay before I get going here. If you're watching and my sound is okay, if you can just comment to let me know. Awesome. Perfect. Okay. Okay, so Chris is at it again. While I give a couple little updates, I was going to kind of take a little poll in the chat to see if I should play the call. If you have, some of you may have already heard it and feel it's played out. If you have not, please comment. And if you do want me to play it, and we can discuss it and go through that call. So while I wait for some of those people and their opinion on playing the call, if we should, just a quick update. Adam Montgomery was sentenced 45 years to life for the murder of his daughter, Harmony Montgomery. He did not respond within 7 days. He basically ignored the prosecution's offer to disclose the whereabouts of her body, and he would potentially get a reduced sentencing recommendation. What I observed was that when the mother of Harmony, Crystal Story, spoke, he looked annoyed. Oh, wow. I'm surprised, Adrian. He looked annoyed. He looked frustrated, bored. The most heartbreaking testimony of all was the foster mother for Harmony. It was heartbreaking. So if you've not watched the sentencing hearing, you can still, find that everywhere online to watch that. But that, along with the other charges and sentences he was given for the gun charges, along with a second-degree assault charge, all of the sentences are going to run consecutive. Hopefully, he never sees the light of day again. But let's just hope that one day he finds his soul and will tell us where she is. Welcome, everybody. Language of Horses, Adrian Sirax, I think. I'm saying that right, I hope. So I'm kind of feeling out the chat here to see if you have already heard the Chris Proudfoot phone call with Heather Cohen. I don't want to beat a dead horse, as they say. So no pun intended, language of horses. But I will play it if people have not heard it. Or if the majority does want to hear it again and want to be able to talk about it, let me know. And hi, plants are my jam. It is a hot mess, but it continues to show us what an asshole. Okay, let's just say it. What a POS he really is. And I feel bad and I don't know if I should feel bad because I'm not really clear on who leaked the recording. Heather made a statement on her Facebook that the recording was leaked by a trusted person in her group to Terry Lynn, who is the person who secretly recorded Chris. It wasn't clear to me if Heather has a Facebook group that someone released it from, in which case, in a sense, you publicly posted it. I mean, things happen. But otherwise, like, I don't know, was it like a staff member or something? I don't know. That would be different. I'm just wondering how a recording like that falls into the hands of anybody who could potentially leak it. To me, that recording shouldn't have been heard by anybody but her and Chloe, and that's it. I really don't know um, how this could have happened. So I'm not really sure how I feel about that. And sadly, we don't have an update from Nina. That is most concerning to me, that we haven't heard anything from her. There is no update to the case docket. I'm really upset at the, because it just makes me think, like, did things go in his favor? And I hope to God they did not. But I hope we get an update. In my last, one of my last videos, I think, or the little short one I did when I was live, I had indicated that I had read some information about the judge that was handling Chris and Nina's case. And what I read, if it's true, was very, very concerning to me. So I really, really hope that things went well. And as soon as I hear anything, I will relay it, because she was so brave to come forward with her story. I know it wasn't easy. And um, it's just a nightmare. So it does sound like we're going to listen to it. So thankfully, it's not 4 hours long. So I'm going to mute myself so you don't, hear every move I make. But if for some reason, comment sooner rather than later if you're having trouble hearing the audio. Some of it he talks a little lower, and some of it he's louder. So we'll just get into it then.
She said Katie's mom's name. I mean, we do have the information, but let me tell you what that fucking story.
Okay, guys, so this is actually, like, it's crazy because she got it leaked to her first, and hers seems to be the worst quality. So I did see it on the lab, and it was originally, and it was much better quality. So we're going to switch over to that one, because it was just so let me get it to the right spot. Oh yeah, this is gonna be way better. Way better audio. All right, guys, here we go. Much better audio.
Yeah, of who he is, and
anyway, I'm just going to start playing it. And as people come in, they can, but I want to make sure that the audio is good. So let's take a listen here.
Which statement?
Releasing Katie's parents' personal information and shit on Katie's past. Said she has it, but she wasn't going to release it. It caused a fucking shitstorm. And now everybody went out there and got it and released it.
How does it sound? How's the sound on that? You can hear it. Is it clear? All
right. She said Katie's mom's name.
She didn't say the name. She just insinuated she had the information.
I mean, we do have the information, but
yeah. And let me tell you what the fuck it started. Now all that information is out in the fucking open, and somebody better fucking explain to me very goddamn quickly. Preferably her. Fuck that had any goddamn thing.
I have no idea.
Yeah, because
I don't know what was said.
That bitch better find a way to stop it.
Where's it at?
Fucking nothing. It's everywhere. All over the fucking internet that people have released on these stupid ass shows and all these fucking Facebook things.
Okay.
It was never out there until that bitch opened her fucking mouth.
Okay. Well, I haven't been looking at it today or really yesterday. So I don't know what's out there.
I just want to say I'm a little disappointed that, you know, it's been said multiple times, the B word towards Chloe, and there's not been any pushback. Like, you know, she's not one. Don't say that. That's your, you know, I have a problem with that, but that's just me.
I'm telling you, I'm being very polite as I can possibly be to her.
Mm-hmm.
If she don't find a fucking way to fix it, I promise her I am not going to be so goddamn pleasant when I see her.
Okay.
And I will bring the fucking cops with me.
All right. Well, I'll talk to her. I mean, are you
takes that? I don't care how she takes it. I really don't give a goddamn what I have to fucking do. But I can promise you, there's a difference in helping find Sebastian and just being a stupid fucking cunt.
Okay, well, let me ask you something just for a second. Like, are you sure it was her and not like one of these sleuthers or something? Because other people
her on the fucking show. Okay. It is her.
Okay, because there's other people that are digging.
Webslut. Yeah. Or sleuth, whatever the fuck that woman's name is.
Websleuths.
Yeah, whatever.
I mean,
it was on that fucking show.
But I don't see. I can't see Chloe just giving out.
Oops, sorry.
What the fuck it started? Insinuated she had the information.
I mean, we do have the information, but
yeah. Let me tell you what the fuck it started. Now all that information is out in the fucking open, and somebody better fucking explain to me very goddamn quickly. Preferably her.
Fuck
that had any goddamn thing.
I have no idea.
Yeah, because
I don't know what was said.
That bitch better find a way to stop it.
Where's it at?
Fucking nothing. It's everywhere. All over the fucking internet that people have released on these stupid ass shows and all these fucking Facebook things.
Okay.
It was never out there until that bitch opened her fucking mouth.
Okay. Well, I haven't been looking at it today or really yesterday. So I don't know what's out there.
I'm telling you, I'm being very polite as I can possibly be to her.
Mm-hmm.
If she don't find a fucking way to fix it, I promise her I am not going to be so goddamn pleasant when I see her.
Okay.
And I will bring the fucking cops with me.
All right. Well, I'll talk to her. I mean,
takes that? I don't care how she takes it. I really don't give a goddamn what I have to fucking do. But I can promise you, There's a difference in helping find Sebastian and just being a stupid fucking cunt.
Okay, well let me ask you something just for a second. Like, are you sure it was her and not like one of these sleuthers or something? Because
No,
other
it's
people
her on the fucking show. It
Okay.
is her.
Okay, because there's other
I think
people
it was
that are
on
digging.
Webslut
Yeah.
or Sleuth, whatever the fuck that woman's name is.
Websleuths.
Yeah, whatever.
I mean,
Yeah, like that was an accident, calling them that name. I don't think so.
It was on that fucking show.
but I don't see. I can't see Chloe just giving out that information though.
She did. You're missing my statement. I
Okay.
didn't say she gave the information out. I said she made a statement that she had it and wouldn't fucking release it. That right there was a trigger to start this fucking shitstorm.
Hmm.
When she shouldn't have opened her fucking mouth in the beginning.
Okay.
I don't know what kind of fucking PI or whatever the fuck she thinks she is or how she does this. But if she needs a fucking education and schooling on being a PI, I guarantee you I'll find somebody who is truly a PI and let them school the fuck out of this woman.
All right. Well, let me try to figure it out because I know neither her or I have given out any of Katie's information.
It's not giving it out.
Yeah.
All you have to do is start one sentence. I have the information. I'm not going to release it.
Yeah.
She started a shitstorm.
Actually,
she better figure out how to fucking fix it.
You know, something else I'll tell you, there was a woman that reached out to me that before I had ever even, before I ever knew anything about Katie's family or past or whatever, there was like this random woman, like sleuther, that reached out to me with like some of Katie's family's names and whatever. Like, I will say.
Now you're listening to a conversation between Chris Proudfoot and a PI that was working on the case, who I believe is no longer working on the case, talking about the PI Chloe that showed up on Websleuths show. So this is Chris Proudfoot, and this was sent to me a couple of days ago. I sat on it. I was waiting for today. I planned on releasing it today. And so why not just do it? I don't know what happened in court. No. But let me see. Yeah. But it was distributed to me anonymously, asked if I would hold off, and I absolutely will and did.
She was wrong about, she was talking about Penny Payne, and she thought there's a Penny Payne that runs like some sort of
Penny Irene Payne or some shit.
Yeah, I don't know any of Katie's information.
It's not giving it out.
Yeah.
All you have to do is start one sentence. I have the information. I'm not going to release it.
Yeah.
She started a shitstorm.
Actually,
she better figure out how to fucking fix it.
You know, something else I'll tell you, there was a woman that reached out to me that before I had ever even, before I ever knew anything about Katie's family or past or whatever, there was like this random woman, like sleuther, that reached out to me with like some of Katie's family's names and whatever. Like, I will say that she was wrong about, she was talking about Penny Payne, and she thought there's a Penny Payne that runs like some sort of
Penny Irene Payne or some shit.
Yeah, I don't know.
Some medical place or something.
Yeah, it was the wrong Penny Payne, but she had the right names.
She has the right names. Just like
Just the wrong people.
Katie Lynn Payne.
Yeah.
Who supposedly murdered a 4-year-old.
Right, exactly. And that's the problem with a lot of the sleuthers, is that they get a name and then they find somebody with that name and they run with it.
Mm-hmm.
That happens a lot.
The worst part, and that's fine. That's understandable. Personally, I think everybody fucking starts looking for shit.
Yeah.
Ain't even worth the fucking bacteria of the foam that forms on the fucking worst form of bacteria on Earth. That's what I truly feel.
Yeah, I feel you. I hear you. I can feel it through the phone.
Oh, trust me. Chloe's lucky I'm not standing in fucking front of her. Like I said, I will bring the fucking cops when I see her.
Okay. Well,
And it was more my protection than hers. Because right now, you can inform her. She fucking calls me, says my fucking name, anything of that fucking nature involving Katie or me or anybody else, I'm going to slap the shit out of her with the same fucking thing I told you. I'll cease and desist letter and then let her open her fucking mouth one more time. And then I've got her dead to fucking rights.
I think that's
I'm
the
trying
only.
to be as civil as possible.
Isn't that the
And
only interview she's even done? I don't think she's.
I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I don't
don't
think
care.
she's done
She's not
anything.
my PI. She's not.
Yeah.
Bitch don't fucking mean a goddamn thing to me.
Right.
If she was on fire, I wouldn't piss on her to put her out.
Mm. Well, I mean, it's not like Kate, or I said Katie. It's not like Chloe, because she's very private. Like, I'm more public than she is. I mean,
She
you know
doesn't-
that.
I promise you, go back and watch that fucking video.
Yeah.
Go watch that fucking interview.
Okay. I mean, I was watching it. I know what she said, but she's usually very, very careful about what she says to the
She
public.
ain't fucking careful.
Yeah.
She's fucking sloppy.
All right. Well, let me talk to her. I don't even know. Actually, I do know.
I ain't trying to be a dick to her, but if she ain't got the fucking audacity to give me a working fucking phone number, she better not fucking reach out to me. And that Google shit ain't a fucking true number.
Yeah, that's the same number that Seth has, though. I will tell you.
Yeah, I'm not Seth.
Yeah.
I have the balls and the fucking spine to call people out on shit.
Yeah.
I'm not a fucking
Just
coward.
don't take it personal, because she doesn't give her personal phone number out to anybody. I mean, like, only, like, I had it from like a previous case.
Like, who on what planet would give this psychopath, allegedly, I'm not a doctor, their personal phone number? Ew.
Case that we work together, but she's very private about her personal information.
Mm.
So
Okay.
I don't know. Anyway, I don't know what to say. I feel bad. Like, I know Chloe, and I know that she's not, that's not her style. But I mean, I get it.
Maybe her head's so fucking twisted because she's too emotionally involved or personal involvement with Seth. I don't fucking know. And I'm not saying a relationship.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm going to say this out loud, because when I was watching this on 2 different channels before, which I did say it in the beginning, but some of you guys came in late, he is talking to Heather Cohen, Justice Warrior Investigations. She is Seth Rogers' PI who took a step back, not to be confused with Chloe. That is who he is talking about, is Chloe. Yes. Chloe, the one who has been looking for Sebastian with her literal feet on the ground, minding her P's and Q's pretty much since day one. That is who he is talking about, like this.
Didn't say that.
No,
but
yeah.
whatever the fuck it is, she better goddamn fucking figure it out and redial herself the fuck back in.
Yeah. I mean, I know, like, and I think I told you this before, or like, she's more focused on the search side of things. That's been
And
her
why the
focus.
fuck is this bitch on fucking on these goddamn interviews?
Yeah, it's just the one that I know of. But I mean, I'm not trying to, like, I don't know. I mean, I have to try to defend her a little bit, because I mean, I know that she's not a person that like shares personal information or private information.
She didn't have to. She insinuated she had the information. She wasn't going to release it. She started a fucking fire shitstorm.
What was the purpose of making that statement, knowing full good and well that the
Trust me.
Yeah.
we're going to dig
Seth can have his fucking PIs. I don't need PIs.
See, and actually,
I get the
as
whole
we're
goddamn world
speaking,
that sends me all this shit for no fucking reason.
as we're speaking, I just got a message from a web sleuther that I don't even know. I don't even know their name. They go under a pseudonym, and they're sending me a picture of Katie's mom, and I don't know how they found that out. Like, I didn't tell. They're telling me like I don't know. So, like these web sleuthers, like, I mean, they are like batshit 99.9% of the time, but they're pretty good at finding shit. And some of these people are just doing it on their own.
Yes, I know. That's one thing.
Yeah.
She opened her mouth, made the statement. She's the catalyst.
Sorry. Hold on.
Help.
All right. Well, yeah, it was the wrong Penny Payne, but
Or me or anybody else.
well,
And it was more for my protection, then that's what I truly feel.
yeah, I feel you. I hear you.
No,
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't
think
care.
she's
Sorry.
that.
I promise you, go back and watch that fucking video
All right.
in order to put her out.
Mm.
Sorry, I
Well,
messed it up.
I mean, it's not like Kate, or I said Katie. It's not like Chloe, because she's very private. Like, I'm more public than she is. I mean,
She
you know
doesn't-
that.
I promise you, go back and watch that fucking video.
Yeah.
Go watch that fucking interview.
Okay. I mean, I was watching it. I know what she said, but she's usually very, very careful about what she says to the
She
public.
ain't fucking careful.
Yeah.
She's fucking sloppy.
All right. Well, let me talk to her. I don't even know. Actually, I do know.
I ain't trying to be a dick to her, but if she ain't got the fucking audacity to give me a working fucking phone number, she better not fucking reach out to me. And that Google shit ain't a fucking true number.
Yeah, that's the same number that Seth has, though. I will tell you.
Yeah, I'm not Seth.
Yeah.
I have the balls and the fucking spine to call people out on shit.
Yeah. And
I'm not a fucking
just
coward.
don't take it personal, because she doesn't give her personal phone number out to anybody. I mean, like, only, like, I had it from like a previous case that we worked together, but she's very private about her personal information.
Mm.
So
Okay.
I don't know. Anyway, I don't know what to say. I feel bad. Like, I know Chloe, and I know that she's not, that's not her style. But I mean, I get it.
Maybe her head's so fucking twisted because she's too emotionally involved or personal involvement with Seth. I don't fucking know. And I'm not saying a relationship.
Yeah, no.
Didn't say that.
No,
but
yeah.
whatever the fuck it is, she better goddamn fucking figure it out and read.
Yeah.
This really pissed me off because she's so emotionally involved, and he is clear he doesn't mean in a relationship. So you're attacking this woman and calling her all these horrible things because, and you're going to say it's a bad thing that she is too emotionally involved with finding your stepson. Why is that? Because maybe she will. And, well, I'm not going to say that yet.
Dial herself the fuck back in.
Yeah. I mean, I know, like, and I think I told you this before, like, she's more focused on the search side of things, that's been
And
her
why the
focus.
fuck is this bitch on fucking on these goddamn interviews?
Yeah, it's just the one that I know of. But I mean, I'm not trying to, like, I don't know. I mean, I have to try.
Okay, so it sounds like it's kind of looping. and maybe that was intentional. So just for a little context, I'm going to play like a 1-2 minute clip here from the Web Sleuth interview. So for those that don't understand why he is so upset, I mean, I caught it in the interview, but so yes, I did hear it, but not everybody might have caught it if that watched the interview. So they may not know what. Oh boy, why is this link not working for people? Let's see. Okay, let me do this first. One thing at a time.
A lot of us are just trying to offer help. It's the bad ones that you remember, and not all the.
So you're going to listen for Chloe to talk, and it's pretty brief.
Much bigger crowd of good people who are not doing this.
And I mean, weeks ago, somebody asked me what I thought, and I had some information from court documents that could have been a lot of quote unquote tea for the internet to have. And I refused to release it because
Court documents on, let me ask you this, on who? Me, Seth, Katie? Okay.
I refused to release it because, number one, I didn't think it would help find Sebastian. Number two, it was a deeply personal thing. And also,
when she was young?
Yes.
Okay, so let me
finish, and I referred to the Michael Vaughn case, where his parents got completely time, and they didn't do anything to that boy. I do not believe
they didn't.
Now they have proof, but they just got slaughtered. And if people can say without a shadow of a doubt that they just know what somebody did, and they don't. Well, if you know, take it to the police and let's solve this.
Yeah. Tell all the Sherlock Holmes and Watsons out there, since they have their PhDs in criminal justice and forensics and all this, since they've got it, by all means, we welcome you to the case. We welcome you to come in here and show us and show these law enforcement officers that have so many years of experience that they don't know anything. We'd love for you to do it.
Chris, this isn't helping.
I know it's not helping, but this goes back to what's being asked.
Let's get people on your side, and then we can all work together.
Okay, so Aaron, I saw your comment on my community post about the Facebook link. I don't know why it's working for some people and it's not working for others. So I just typed in the name of the Facebook group, and you see it across the screen right now. So those know what I'm talking about. The Facebook groups are so toxic right now, and for us to be able to maybe talk about the case, as most of this community are just really great, solution-oriented, logical thinkers, and not super dramatic. This is going to be a safe space for us to do that. So it is called Finding Sebastian Rogers, Case Discussion for Logical Thinkers, because there is another one that's similarly named. Linda says, someone just told me that Sumner County has proved that Chris and Katie were proven innocent. I've not heard or seen any such thing. I think short of finding Sebastian, I don't think it's possible for Sumner County to prove that anyone is innocent. and that that foul play did not occur. That we don't have Sebastian, so we don't know what, with certainty, we don't know. Language of Horses had said it earlier in the chat, and again, you hear him talk and you think about poor Sebastian. This is what he lived with. This is what he lived with. And I just, the constant, and if he can throw those vicious words like that so candidly and freely, I imagine that, that he was called horrible things, that Katie's called horrible things. I don't know how she spoke to them. I don't know. I don't know. But I do know many a Chris Proudfoot's. And it's too familiar to me, put it that way. That's all I'm going to say at the moment. But this is not something that just shows up, with an incident that happens in your life or a trauma. This is somebody where you're seeing who he has been for probably the majority of his entire life. And, he anticipates that people will tolerate him and think he is tough. And I call it small man syndrome. I mean, they think that they're a big man, and they're showing everybody how tough they are. And they're not. They're a small man with no respect from other people. People do not respect people who talk like that. They don't. Not men, not women. Men don't think you're funny. Real men don't think you're funny, don't think you're tough, don't think you're cool. They feel bad for you because you're overcompensating for your inequities when you verbally abuse people you think are weaker. What makes me sad, what makes me really sad is, I felt like Heather should have stood up to him. And maybe it was the way it was to keep that line of communication open. Personally, this is why abusers keep going, because one lets them slide, the next one lets them slide. But I get it. When you're trying to get to the golden egg, something as big as finding Sebastian, sometimes you have to bite your tongue, but guess what? You don't have to bite your tongue anymore. You should just, call him what he is. He's a piece of shit who is abusive to women, teenagers, children. He should not be allowed to be exposed to children. And that's the reality. Anybody who wants somebody like that around their kids, I'm not saying you're in that relationship. It's very hard. As many people who have been victims of domestic violence know, it's very hard to see your way out of it. But he should never be allowed to be around children ever again. Ever again. So I pray to God that the judge found in favor of Nina and we get that good word soon. Otherwise, I can't wait to hear when the next court hearing is going to be. And I hope there is another one, because I hope as many women as possible can just stand outside that courthouse, and I'll flip him something. I wouldn't, if you're out there listening somewhere, Chris, with your terabytes of data, I wouldn't kiss your ass for an interview ever. I don't give a shit what you have to say. Nothing you have to say is the truth. You're a liar. You're an abuser. You're a small man. And I have nothing to say to you. So I don't need your interview. I don't need your fake prank calls. You're nasty. You're a nasty, nasty human being. And whether or not you were involved in what happened to Sebastian, you do deserve to go to prison for the things you have done in your life. My opinion. That's my opinion. You're a bad person. Period. I don't have time for you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want your emails. I wouldn't even give you a Google Voice phone number, period. Because I couldn't sit on the phone with you for 5 minutes without sticking my fist through the phone, period. If you stood in front of me and talked about Chloe the way you just talked on the phone to Heather, I would have punched you in your face. So yeah, if I ever saw you, you should bring the police with you. Because I'm not afraid of you, little man. No. Everything is on the table. Absolutely. Everything is on the table. And I believe that he learned the words, everything is on the table, by hearing about, Pat Brown, Peter Hyatt, Deception Detective, when they in their very early analyses of their first two, the Chronicles of Olivia and the the local news station interview, you know what I'm talking about, how they analyzed those, and they talked about how they were just so sure he walked out the door. There was no other possibility. Couldn't have been abducted. Couldn't have been this. They were just so sure that he walked out the door. They just knew he didn't have shoes on, that he was barefoot, knew he didn't have socks, knew he didn't have this. I mean, just knew all these things. But at the same time, they're pointing it out. You just knew all these things, yet you guys didn't see anything. You guys were just sleeping. Okay. And that's when I think he paid attention with his terabytes of data and was like, oh, okay. So if we do that, then we look like we're lying. So now I think we need to say, anything's an option. Anything could have happened. Yet in their first interview, it was, we have no malice. We're not going to be mad at you. I mean, seriously. I mean, he is educating and crafting and trying to hone in on his lies by watching these analyses of him. But the problem is, as any good qualified person who does statement analysis will tell you, that no matter how hard you try, the truth will come through. You will be caught for your lies. And we know you're lying. We don't know everything you're lying about. We don't know everything your wife is lying about. But we know you're lying. And I know that Katie is lying in the worst way, my personal worst way. I say this to people in my life. The worst lies to me are the lies by omission, because to the person omitting things, they think it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal because I'm not outright lying. I'm just not saying. No, to me, it's worse. So, they're lying by omission and straight up lies. Has Chris lied more than Katie? Yes, because she is now basically, she can't even talk because I have a really good feeling that she's a bad liar. A bad, bad liar. And that if she goes on these shows or she goes on TV and she is put under pressure, it's just all gonna come out. She's just not, she won't even be able to keep her story straight. I have carried my list of, I would still talk to her, but it's not going to happen because the truth would come out. She wouldn't talk to deception detective because the truth would come out. Not the blatant, I confess to this or that, or this is what happened. It's because I would not settle for the responses that are given. That's it. Yeah, and yes, Karen, and she spoke about, and that's the thing, she can't help it because she's a bad liar. And she doesn't even have it in her to put the effort to control her lies, which is why, when she does speak up, it's about something that we know she's lying about, like the shoes. I am not going to release the number of shoes. I will just tell you that all the shoes have been accounted for, or whatever the statement was exactly. But you know what I'm talking about. It's so, I think she's just a bad liar. And if he can't let her talk because it will leak, the truth leaks out. So it's a shit show. It's an absolute shit show. At some point, we have to say that statistically speaking, this late in the game, after all this time has passed, the odds are they're lying. The odds are one or both of them might have had something to do with his disappearance. Everybody is putting a lot in on the sleep medicine. And that would be similar to like the Madeline McCann case. I don't rule out the possibility that happened. I don't rule out the possibility that, he had the sleep meds and they weren't working. Kids can still fight through some of that, even melatonin or even prescription. Sometimes you just can fight through it. I think it was a reaction, something, just, you just lost it in the moment. And this is why I'm so, it's like, with the no searching thing, which just to update you, I did try to get, information again about Q. And so far, I've not had any responses. I did ask Heather myself, even though I know she's not on the case anymore. And she just said, that's Chloe's side of things. So again, I have not heard if Q is coming in. And I've seen some crappy comments like, well, why do you need this? Why do you need Why do you need Q? Why do you need this organization? What? What do you mean? I'm reading this on Facebook. Like, are you kidding me? Why do we need, not need? Okay, because nobody else is looking. Like, what? Of course we need. Law enforcement isn't searching. I'm not seeing the parents search. So, yeah, we need an organization to come in and search everywhere from Hendersonville to Memphis to Horn Lake, Mississippi. Okay? We do, or he won't be found. Bring all the resources. Get off your asses if you really want to bring him home. Like, to hell with, and let me just say this really quick. I believe I was misinformed, and so I don't want to give out misinformation. It appears that Tony is not being paid for his services for this case, nor the Caleb Harris case. And yes, you're going to say something about the GoFundMe for Caleb Harris, the second one. I'm just telling you what everybody is saying is that, he has repeatedly said to, everybody that he's not being paid. So we can say that no money has went to Tony. And so I guess it is what it is. But again, it still doesn't change the fact that, nobody's searching. And I keep repeating it. And so, yeah, the resources need to come in. We shouldn't even ask. They had been offered the dogs, Karen. This is what I'm talking about. Where do we go from here? That's what I keep saying. I hope they get offered the free dogs. Well, guess what? There was a crew coming and they backed off because of everyone saying that, that was Sebastian in North Carolina. And I'm over here like, hey, until law enforcement says it is him, nobody stopped searching. But they had already stopped at that point. Let's be real here. So if you can tell, like, I'm a little more spicy tonight than usual, it's because the number of days are turning into weeks where there is hardly anybody looking anywhere for him. It's a fact. And it's now across the board. I just saw the fundraiser, and of course I shared it. The bike motorcycle run fundraiser that's happening, and that is wonderful. But that doesn't change the need for these outside organizations. Law enforcement is focused on investigating. They said it. We can't do anything to change their minds. And so at this point, if they keep doing this, this will be a Summer Wells case. Years go by and it still impacts the public, but everybody else just moved on because nobody was looking anymore. A month and a half ago, almost every piece of video footage I had of certain people who were like, involved in the case from the beginning, like all it was searches and search parties and this is where we're going and this is where we're looking. And now it's not only like a gag order, it's like, wait, you're not even going to tell us if there's searches? You don't want help? You don't want help? Really? I can't even tell you how many resources have been referred and not secured or taken advantage of. You have the Uvalde group. I'm not getting into the whole, are they legit? Are they not legit? Whatever. I'm just saying they said, look, something bad here happened. So, I don't know if their goal is only to go and rescue live individuals and they believe the person's not alive anymore. Maybe that's what they were saying. Like, then it's not worth our manpower. I don't know. Q is, was going to work in Two Rivers, Wisconsin, looking for Elijah Vu. But guess what? Between the FBI, the small town police department, the sheriff's department, and the local resources, Q said, you guys don't even need us because what the tech we would bring in, you already have. Well, they don't have that tech here. There's nothing happening. There's not even people going around, in groups of 15, 20 people poking anywhere with a stick in the ground. So what do? Are we just supposed to sit around and just say, okay, we're just going to let him be missing forever, and we're just going to sit and enjoy Chris's, prank calls and, public relations people talking and, cover the drama, but we'll just forget about the child that is out there somewhere. Whether he is with us still or he's not with us doesn't mean he doesn't deserve to be found either way. Either way. And I hear, people are heartbroken, but the people that are heartbroken aren't doing anything. And if I could, I would in a heartbeat. I swear to God I would. And it just makes me sick because it feels like everybody just stopped. And I get you want to calm the social media storm, but calming the social media storm has nothing to do with searches. So maybe somebody correct me if I'm wrong. If you have seen footage of large groups going out and searching that I've yet to locate. I mean, because I haven't. And Adrian, how many cases? Oh my gosh, I tell you what, I see more missing person flyers coming up from Tennessee's missing group than like anywhere else. Like, what are you doing there in Tennessee? You're just letting kids get sold, letting kids get killed, letting kids disappear, and what you're letting the sick, twisted people just walk around and live their lives like everything is hunky dory, and because okay, we just had an autistic girl that was missing. No foul play involved there, and she was located. It's just just murderers walking free, like traffickers walking free, like just sick. It's just sick. He should, and Linda, he should not get to say yes or no to anything. Absolutely, somebody needs to say, "F you and your private property. I'm bringing my dogs. I'm bringing them. I'll go sit in jail for a week until court, but I'm taking dogs on your property. You cite me for trespassing. This is my son's house that he was last seen in. I'll bring anything I want on this property to search." And I actually saw somebody had posted in a group and they had said it was a poll, and maybe some of you saw it. And they said, would you allow some random person off social media to come on your property to use their quote unquote search dogs to search? Let me go ahead and be the first one. Absolutely not. Well, one, I don't believe it's a random person off social media. And I believe that these dogs are like highly trained with and there's credentials involved and all of that. So I think that the question was kind of posed slightly irresponsibly, I guess, or maybe they didn't know and they heard it on another platform and they're just repeating what they heard. But yeah, if it was my kid, yes. I don't care if you brought every psychic, tarot card reader, dog, anything you want to bring that brings my kid home, bring it on. Because I got nothing to hide. Bring it. Bring it. I don't care. Like, you should deny no help. Absolutely no help. If you got something that is going to help me try to find my child, bring it on. Chris kept saying this is Katie's son, and now he's preaching stepson. Absolutely. How many times did we talk about, go over all their interviews, and it was my wife's son, the young man, not Sebastian, not my son. Until people are sniffing up your trail, and then once people are picking up your breadcrumbs, then you're like, try to play the pity card. You guys are just interfering with my son, and how dare you guys try to shine a spotlight on us? How dare you? How dare you guys have half a brain to think we might have something to do with it? What on earth could be wrong with you guys? You guys are just distracting law enforcement over here, trying to point the fingers at the last person that saw him. What is wrong with you? I mean, yeah, what's wrong with us? I mean, we're crazy. The woman flew from California with her bloodhounds on private plane, offering her expert dogs. The bloodhounds were going in a very different place, and CP abused and drove her away. The dog got a scent. Ooh. See, now this is not, now who Karen is talking about is not, I do not believe is the same group that had made plans to come while they were investigating the photo of Sebastian in North Carolina, which we know, despite what everybody keeps saying, is not Sebastian. Yeah, that's absolutely, that's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, how could you not? What do you have to hide? It's a dog. If you don't have any evidence, what are you so afraid of? The reality is if it isn't law enforcement that is, bringing those dogs, it really doesn't matter, shouldn't matter to you, because I don't know that would have a whole lot of weight in court. I mean, if the dog smelled something, and they weren't brought by law enforcement, you shouldn't have anything to worry about. Oh, wait, except that they find something. I'm guessing that they probably call the police and have the police further investigate. And then that would be law enforcement who would find the evidence. Okay, I see. I see what's going on. Okay, I follow. Okay. Yep. I am following you, Chris. I know exactly what's going on here. We are crazy. What is wrong with us out here on the interweb and just coming up with all these just absolutely outlandish theories that are just shining a light in your guys' faces? That's just awful. The crazy part about it is, as much as I think he's the biggest POS on the planet, I don't think it was him that actually committed the initial act. But I mean, the reality is, I think somebody has to know something out there. I think somebody's holding something back. I just can't believe that, nobody has anything. And, maybe they did and they turned it over and it's being dealt with and we just don't know. Julie and husband who flew there to help. Yeah. Oh, so they get the permission from law enforcement first. Okay. On private plane. Yeah, this is just, I mean, what are these people? And like I said, when I first heard it, like, this, big whoop if the polygrapher said that Seth said, that for a second he thought something wrong could have happened, whether it was over sedation, and at least, he didn't go to like the worst, he went to something that was maybe an accident, because even he has enough common sense to know you can't take that off the table. You can't. People don't just vanish into thin air. I mean, also something else we learned, from Nancy Grace, she doesn't have an intern. So all those snarky people that were all over Facebook, well, my sister is an intern for Nancy Grace, and she said that they were just so mad. Nope, didn't happen. Didn't happen. They don't have an intern. It was just completely made up. This is the stuff that, is like, should just pisses you off because you waste time. That's the stuff you waste time on. Like, that's just made up nonsense. Oh, and then another organization that I've sent a few times in the direction of the team is for Sebastian is the weight team. Which is We Are the Essentials, which they'd probably run them off too. But they are a group of former law enforcement officers and former military service members who are now search and recovery investigators. We are the Essentials. In their prior careers, they investigated a vast number of federal and state crimes, protected U.S. and foreign diplomats, worked undercover, rescued human trafficking victims, worked counterterrorism, apprehended violent criminals and gang members. Now they're retired and they use their skills to investigate and recover missing people. And have they been contacted? I don't think so. Maybe I'll check with them. But I'm pasting it in the chat now, their link, which is wearetheessentials.com. Again, there's an organization where if you want them, you cry out for help, they'll probably come and help you. I mean, whose help don't you want? On another note, let me see. I'll paste it in the chat, but just so you know, live chat often disappears after we're done. I am working on the forms that I have been talking about for our community here. And so I've gotten one of them done, and yeah, because I got a lot going on. So I will have more forms coming should you wish to want to fill one out, maybe to be volunteer to help with case research, various different things. So there's going to be different forms for you to be able to click on should you wish to be part of the team in the community, and so we can have resources across the country to have a better impact and be able to be more present in person to help in these kinds of situations. And so I did the most important one first, which is I just pasted the link into chat, and it is a localized search volunteer form. And so I'm going to keep a database. Your information would be kept confidential, okay? But should we get a case and we're in a situation like we're in right now with this, and we are able to get enough people in a certain area together, they can work together and put boots on the ground to help search. If no one else is going to do it, somebody's got to do it. So this at least will allow, to focus more locally. And so I'm going to keep this in a database. And again, if you are in the Midwest, I'm hoping to do a search for Elijah Vu this month still, at a location that I've done a lot of research on. And I think it might be a very, very good option. However, it's not in the immediate area of where most of the searches have been taking place. So I don't know how many of the usual volunteers will be able to come. So I'm probably going to go first and look at it and see it, if it's everything is kind of still lining up and viable, and to make sure that we're prepared as we possibly can for whatever we might encounter. And no, this is not a way of going and trespassing on people's private property or anything of that effect. It's not a replacement for anything. There are people that have children missing and nobody is looking. Nobody. They're not getting any attention, So I agree, Linda. I agree. And I've been working so hard more behind the scenes on his case um, than you could even imagine. And I really am hopeful about the place that I would like to go search. And I don't believe it would involve any private property at all, which is a positive. But I do want to go take a look at it in advance, so that, if there's any particular gear that needs to come, so that, it doesn't slow anything down, that type of thing, it can be done. But with that form, if you are in the Midwest and Wisconsin isn't that big of a drive for you, and you might be available this month, that's a great instance where I could reach out to everybody in, this region or that region and say, hey, there's, we have a case of a missing, person. And if you are able to come, we're trying to organize this, they don't have anybody. And, maybe we'll get enough in Sebastian's area too, because there is not anybody that is looking in, let's say, Jackson, Horn Lake, Memphis, the rural outlying areas, along the paths of travel between those areas. Nope. So, but again, there will be more forums coming because there are other ways that we can all help. There are people who are just really awesome with doing things on the computer and doing research or genealogy or all sorts of things. And so, we just want to, build this community where we can do something more than just, talk about what's going on, where we can do, as much as humanly possible that we can try to do. So yeah, I did just want to put that out there. And if you didn't, if it's after the live and the link is no longer in the comments, if you just go to like the main page information, the link is there. But if anybody does have a way to contact Seth or Seth's family, I would tell them WATE, wait, we are the essentials. They should reach out to them. Interesting. Lisa Rua. Oh, where was your comment? You had a really good comment and I wanted to read it. And let me see. Here it is. So Lisa Rua had commented, oh, come on. Let's see. And she said, the issue with this theory, and this was the theory of, the sleeping medicine. The issue with this theory is that prior to Sebastian's disappearance, Chris wanted a divorce. If this scenario happened, Chris would have had a free pass out the door. Why is he still there? I'd flip this. Chris is the only person wanting Sebastian gone. Katie popped the pills and had a few wines, falling into a comatose sleep. That POS had the time and the know-how to drive back and take the child. Now he is trapped in the marriage because Katie has her suspicions. Lies are holding them together. This, of course, is only a theory and my opinion. It was a theory I really hadn't considered because my theory had been, well, I do think that they both have enough leverage on each other to hold them hostage in a marriage. And at this point, I think that this might be what breaks them. Because if you're going to keep this deep, dark secret, I mean, you're stuck. You're stuck together. I mean, and as much as I think Chris is enjoying the public speeches, I really don't think he thought this attention was going to happen. So I don't think he is, I don't think he wants this microscope and all this dirty laundry, continuing to air, because I'm sure we haven't even hit the tip of the iceberg with their dirty laundry. And I don't even care about all their dirty laundry. I can only imagine. I've got ideas on how this is gonna play out. Is it gonna, Could be a Summer Wells. Just everybody just move on. Nothing happened here. Nothing to see. Let us just continue to do what we're doing. Don't say anything. Pretend you didn't see anything. It could be a situation where one takes a deal over the other, whoever got the deal first, like in the Adam Montgomery case, there was a prosecution, no body, because, she finally took the deal. And I don't believe she deserved any, I believe she deserved a lot more time than she got. But, the prosecution, the reality is if you had a person like Anna Montgomery, the odds are there could have been something horrible that happened to more children down the road. So, got to make maybe a public safety judgment call, so to speak. I just wish there was some smoking gun. And I just think that at this point, that smoking gun is probably going to be finding Sebastian, and that's going to be it. And, Chris and Katie are happy probably that things have slowed down because, who knows? They could disappear at any moment. They're not charged with anything. They're already sleeping in another state. I mean, they could just off in the night, Well, yeah. I mean, and we didn't even just hear that he was threatening to divorce her. I mean, we heard that, and he called in. He was so angry when he called in, because it came out that he confided in a friend about his marriage, and wanting to leave Katie, and that friend talked, and he was so mad when he called in. And I agree. I keep saying that, I go to the Elijah Vu case. Law enforcement is doing both, searching and investigating, searching manholes, drains, awful things in the winter and things like that. And I can't believe he has not gotten fired for the way he talks. I mean, and I don't know, maybe he has and we don't know. It's horrible. So, no matter what, even if law enforcement has a whole bunch we don't know about, it doesn't excuse the lack of searches, in my opinion. And at this point, I don't say much negative at all here about Seth, but I will say I don't hear Seth talking about search plans, large scale search plans, or anything right now. I don't hear Mr. Tony talking about it. I've not heard Chloe talk about it. I wouldn't be surprised if Chloe was out searching by herself, or her and Trevor Lee were out there searching. I mean, the good people just doing these things out of the kindness of their heart. And, it's discouraging. I mean, Joshua, I think, law enforcement is doing a ton behind the scenes. I absolutely think that law enforcement just needs the smoking gun. I think that they have a strong, strong circumstantial case. I think they're all over them like white on rice. I just don't think that they have enough. And which is why it surprises me, because you find Sebastian, you find your answers. Which is what you see in Two Rivers with Elijah Vu. They have them in jail for neglect and abuse, but they don't want them to ever see the light of day again, because they don't have the smoking gun, but they know, law enforcement knows what happened, the outcome, and they don't ever want them to walk out of jail ever again. So that is why, while they're doing one, they're doing the other. And why Sumner County doesn't appear to be, why TBI doesn't appear to be, why we are not seeing the physical presence of law enforcement searching for Sebastian is beyond me. Why we don't see, large groups of 20, 30, 40 people going to locations anymore. I don't know. And I know it's easy to say, well, it's not your kid. Why do you care? Well, everybody should care. Everybody should care. And the more you learn about the people closest to the child that don't care, didn't care, that's more reason to care. So I hope to hear about Q and other things, and resources to come in. We will see if, I keep seeing all this stuff about arrests are coming, and I who could possibly know that? I mean, unless they're leaking things, because a lot leaks out of here, and that's probably why law enforcement is even more tight-lipped. Because as we see on Facebook, I mean, things are just literally fabricated out of thin air. And, both women's husbands, one in the military and the other a detective, said law enforcement was not acting or following up on what they should. These are the dog handlers. They never saw anything like Tennessee. I have not seen anything like this. Well, Summer Wells. I mean, outside of Tennessee, like, this is just like, I mean, maybe with an adult, because they're, law enforcement sometimes will be like, I don't have enough to say. This person just doesn't want to be gone. But with a minor, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. But no, and not this quickly. Like, law enforcement made this statement about pulling back the resources. I mean, it was like a month after he went missing, approximately. And I'll have to do some digging to find out. I'll do some digging as to when the last large scale search is a note, because I believe it has been a long time. And while I'm all about, say the name, spread the word, share the flyer, share the picture, if nobody's looking, he's not going to come home. A 1,000%, Dolores. 1,000%. And I sent everything I had. I sent it. I reported it to CPS. I reported it to TBI, reported it to Sumner County. Well, Karen, that would be awesome. That would be wonderful. I think I don't know, maybe I'll go back to that where I saw the dog group and see if they'll come back. I mean, because to me there are other places they can go search besides their house. And private property, you know, that's not private property. And you know, there might be volunteers in some of the other communities that have locations that should maybe be looked at that would come forward. Welcome, Roberta. Thank you. Because I have, you know, I think Jackson, Horn Lake, that's Mississippi, Memphis, you know, all those places should be considered. You know, the paths of travel should all be considered. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around calling, you know, law enforcement that's handling this case, you know, Bobby, you know, Carter, you know, I don't know. And this is where me being naive comes. I just don't want to believe that law enforcement is doing something sketchy here. I'm still holding out faith. I am holding out faith that they have more than we know. And but maybe not enough to charge, because the reality is, you know, people have a right to a speedy trial. You only get one shot at a charge like that. Look at the Suzanne Morphew case. You know, they had to release him. You know, everything pointed one way, but, you know, they had to drop the charges and release him because there just wasn't enough. And thank goodness they did. Oh, if they have military drones, they would bring. Well, the Bauer Sox are not Sebastian's family. I mean, I don't know. They don't get a choice. The reality is, I don't think anybody should have a choice when it comes to a missing child. I don't even think, honestly, you shouldn't have to, you know, in my opinion, ask for permission to be on somebody's lawn if you're looking for a missing kid. I mean, going in somebody's house, but geez Louise, like, you know, if my kid was missing, I wouldn't even, I mean, I'd probably get, shot, but, you know, I'd be looking at everybody's backyards, just anywhere. I wouldn't even have the wherewithal to consider, am I on somebody's private property? No. And to not let dogs on your property when it's your stepson missing, it's suspicious. It is. There's no other way to look at it. Well, that's why they don't want a federal investigator coming on their property. They don't want anybody with any legitimate tools coming anywhere near them. They don't want that kind of stuff. All they want is people who are going to come in, you know, and maybe talk to them, you know. And of course, Katie's not going to talk, you know. So this is enough for them. or throwing up billboards, in the direction of the affluent neighborhoods where Sebastian's not likely to be, so they can say that they participated in some way. We see through it. We see through it. We don't have to know exactly what happened. We don't have to know that to know that if it looks like a duck, it's a duck. It's more likely than not at this stage in the game that it's a duck. So we have to find Sebastian. It's the only, at this point, it's the only way to get an answer, short of I would say finding substantial DNA evidence of sorts, which may have been, was probably what they were doing at the landfill twice. I mean, why would they complain about searching? Yes, it's 1,000% guilty knowledge. Well, and Lisa, a lot of people have complained, and I complain that they're not searching is my main complaint. And when they do things like, you guys figured out that was not the picture of Sebastian, and you didn't put out the appropriate statement. And I'm on here saying, well, I wish they would have said it super concrete and made a statement like this. And then what happened the next day? They had to do that because nobody was accepting it just based on the way they chose their words in a non-official statement. So, but you look at, the Madeline Soto case, they did a phenomenal job. And they had no problem saying, we can't talk about this. We can't talk about this, and you can't. And they still don't want to talk about it because, you're going to have people that you're going to need to bring in to testify, which is why, I talk about, certain things that people say or do. You might be a witness one day, be careful, because, you might go on a YouTuber's thing and say things, and then that might discredit you later from being a witness and giving valuable testimony. And, like I say, if something did happen, you got to find a jury, but all that comes down to if Sebastian is found and there was foul play of any kind, where was he found? That would, I guess, let's say, he was found in, let's say, Jackson, Tennessee. Would that county then be the one, how would that be? Because is it where the offense occurred, or is it where they were located? But I think that's similar to what happened in the Madeline Soto investigation. I think you had two different territories, and maybe they just think about like, I don't even want this, yes, this ended up here, but everything started by you. You guys have been, all over this from the beginning. You guys should cover that. And then if we're talking about, being stupid enough to bring things into Mississippi, well, that's the FBI. So, that's going to be a whole nother thing. But they're probably saving some money on wiretapping because they have so many people out there taping the calls for them and doing great jobs cleaning up the audio for them. And yeah, I mean, and if I think about the amount of data that I have on this case and I am just me, I can only imagine what they have. I can only imagine. And they probably, with the Secret Service, but the biggest thing for me that I have said are, did they download infotainment system information from the vehicles if they had them? And number two, when they did the phone downloads, I pray that they got any activity if they had that activated in their phone. Some people have to manually activate it, like step tracking and things like that. Some phones, it's automatic. It really depends. And I hope they got that, because I think that is going to be extremely telling in this situation. You said you were sleeping at this time, you said you went to bed at midnight. Well, at 12:30 in the morning, you took 1,500 steps. You went up, well, I can't see, well, they do have steps up to the office above the garage, so for example, they could be like, and you went up a flight of stairs, how are you going to explain that? Or, you said you were in Memphis, and you we're doing this, yet your phone did not move. You didn't move a single inch when you were on a 3-hour phone call. I mean, those are the types of things. But the infotainment systems from the vehicles was incredibly valuable in the Alec Murdaugh case. Yes. They were trying to be tricky. And this is what they just did in the Chad Daybell thing, where the defense attorney tried to trip up the witness, where she was talking about upstairs, and he was like, well, it's a 1-story house, right? Well, technically it is, but their bedroom was like this addition loft type thing. So it's not like you had a whole nother story above your house. And in their case, I believe I heard Chris himself confirm that there's an office above the garage, is what I think it was. So, in Alec Murdaugh's case, if you watched it, I mean, that infotainment system, I mean, that was one of the ways they got him. Well, you were going this speed, you went on these roads every single day, you went to go to this place, you always turned right, but this time you turned left. Your car was off, your car was on, the door was open, the door was closed. I mean, it was incredible education to learn just how much can be pulled from that. I mean, that was just like one of the biggest nails in his coffin, in my opinion, was that infotainment system. And that's the thing that people don't realize, like the electronics in our lives right now tell such a story, of habits that maybe we don't even know we have. Like we might not even consider that we take this right turn all the time. Or, that we always go, around 70 miles an hour in a 65, and that's our habit, and then that one day you're going 95 from Memphis to Hendersonville, and you've never gone 95, you've never, so and there's thoughts about like, I've had the thoughts about, well, if something happened, did she put him in her car? But then I'm like, no, I don't know. I think something happened. She panicked. She called him because she couldn't get him to the car. And then I thought, well, if you do it in the garage or they pull up, and I still, I'm somebody, if you've watched me before, I was not sold on the picture. I was not sold on the pants. I was not sold on the glasses. Um, the glasses, there's, to me, it's still a chance. I haven't entirely rolled them out, but it just wasn't, a big thing for me. But the flashlight video, it's one of those things where there's just something inside me that says, look, law enforcement has this one big potential piece of evidence, and maybe because it was leaked and they had to do something about it, maybe they lied, because there's a huge part of me that says, was there a transfer in that video? Is that what those lights were? Originally, I thought it was possibly like, did he run out of the house and somebody chased after him, but then I thought, the more I thought about it, and I thought, well, if this happened at, let's say, between 9:30 and 10:30, or between 9 and 10, and you called him in a panic, and by the time you helped him understand what just happened, and he had to get in the car in Memphis and drive all the way back to Hendersonville and then turn around and make it back to work in time. You know, did he helped, move him? Dead weight or of some sort. Or if any of you have ever had like a heavier and older child, where they've been under sedation and they go like, and they're like a super deep sleep, and it's like, they double in weight almost is what it feels like. Well, we don't really care and have clarification on the clothing situation because they were really sketchy about the answer regarding the clothes. Like they said, they gave the clothes that he wore to Texas Roadhouse, but they did not say, well, they might have said it a second time, but it was, I think, added in a different interview that they said they thought that the Texas Roadhouse clothes were, sniffed and used by the dogs. In reality, yes, they could have gave them anything to smell. To me, I would think you would go with like, hairbrush or like maybe a deodorant stick or a hat they would wear, or a coat or any of his pairs of shoes, because there should have been all his shoes there. And one of the things that bothers me is I think that Seth was so just in shock and distraught and not even thinking foul play that when he went there, when he found out he was missing that morning, I have a feeling maybe he didn't, he wasn't observing enough, of like, what does the room look like? What does the bedspread look like? Is this what I normally see? Did I see these shoes? Did I see that? There's a picture of him with this blanket, and maybe you've seen it on social media, and it's kind of like a fleecy looking orange, yellow, goldish plaid type blanket. It's one of the main pictures circulating of him. And I keep asking myself, like, did he like that blanket? It was really soft, maybe like the texture. Did he use that a lot? Is that still there? Has that been accounted for? That blanket in those pictures. With the dogs pick up scent in the loft, one on the ground. Well, I think they brought the dogs in the house. I thought it was Chris's camper. I'm not sure what you mean. What was Chris's camper? Roberta, I might be missing what you're saying. I saw somewhere that KP got a newer vehicle since I did not hear anything about her getting a new vehicle since he went missing. If anybody knows that and has a source for that information, Amen Melody. I couldn't coddle him for anything. I could not coddle that person. But when someone's pushing back like that Terry Lynn call, then he gets creepy. It's like you just don't even know where to go with him. They did use a blanket, but could have been washed. Oh, he thought the lights in the night were the camper. Well, I don't know because, it's a fifth wheel. So, you're probably not going to go speeding. And I guess it's not out of the realm of possibility. But if the campground had footage, or I don't know what the exact way he was vetted to the PIs for being at the campground at 8 p.m. on Sunday. But I think it's possible that he did not hook up the fifth wheel, and because at least from the pictures like that, it looks big, and to go peeling, it's possible that they met halfway. I mean, we don't really know. I think they both participated is my likely assumption. I just think that she's more culpable in what happened to him, the direct incident. And I know it's probably hard for people to wrap their minds around considering what a POS Chris is, but I don't entirely know. I heard that, but just once, and no source was suspicious, though, that Nancy Grace asked about vehicles. Chris nudged her. And I think they also were. Oh, you guys, look, the light bulb. We're having a moment. Listen, guys. I look. The work van. Was he transferred from the garage into the work van? Did the work van leave in the middle of the night? But her car stayed. They were very sensitive about discussing and not releasing the information on the van to Nancy Grace, and they blamed it on a work thing. But could it have been the van? What just happened? What just happened here? Oh, you guys just said that in chat, and you just, I had not thought about those lights being the van. But if she took him with the work van, then there would be no let's say, suspicious infotainment data on her vehicle, she could have met him. I keep forgetting about that work van. This is interesting. That's a nugget that I don't know if I forgot about it, because there's all the, and it was suspicious to me that they didn't want to talk about the van. And now this is making more sense to me. And that doesn't even mean that it is anything. Because if you went out the back door, if you went out the back door in the dark to the van, or somebody pulled up or you didn't even pull in front of, right in front of the house. Okay, if you just pulled up, but you didn't actually pull in the driveway, and then you got out, and then you guys moved him to the vehicle that was parked on the road. Okay. No way. The neighbor said her work van was attached to the back of Chris's camper, like it was towed home that morning. Law enforcement didn't think anything of that? What? That's weird. Maybe there's a work phone too. That is a totally good point. Very good point. Yeah, you absolutely could have left your phones in the same place. That's why the infotainment system is so valuable, because even if you left your phones on your nightstands next to your bed to look like something, but that's why I also don't believe that the entire route from Memphis or Horn Lake, Mississippi, all the way to Tennessee, in either direction, not one person picked anything up at a truck stop, a gas station, nothing, not 1 ounce of video footage, not one highway camera caught any vehicles that are involved. I don't buy it. Chris is correct in that non-relevant material about him and his wife's personality and behaviors are causing him to be so angry. Well, what I agree with about what you said is, if people, are just being nasty, hey, I see these Facebook groups. I mean, the stuff people are coming up with, or saying without even knowing, some of it is really nasty. And I am a firm believer in children should not have to pay for their sins of their parents. And so I don't know all of the, whatever they're saying happened. Well, I mean, I know, but what anybody's parents do if it isn't, involved in what happened to Sebastian is not relevant. And I wouldn't diminish the trauma that somebody would experience having parents who committed any crimes or spent time in prison or spent time in jail or had substance abuse problems or were abusive. And I have no, I don't really have a doubt in my mind that, Chris, he said it himself, that, like the things he does is what was done to him when he was young. But that doesn't mean you get a pass, because I don't believe that he is just speaking out of anger. I mean, you listen to the prank calls, you listen to, before he got really mad, like in the later interviews, if you go back to the beginning, the way he talks about the word punishment, discipline, respect, and all of those things, I do not believe he just woke up in the middle of this shitstorm and decided to be the person he's portraying. I don't believe that. But yes, I mean, even I have talked about a number of times that there's certain things that I've not played on here, or I've been, I've deleted comments, even stuff that has been said, or videos where things are talked about Sebastian that I don't think are appropriate. I think we have the general scope of what life might have been like in that home, and replaying so much of it when I watched 30 other channels replay the same thing, and then everybody goes on Facebook and repeats it. I just couldn't imagine if it was my child and those things are being repeated and repeated and repeated and repeated. And I just couldn't imagine a lot of things. But it certainly doesn't change the fact that I have no doubt in my mind that he is an abusive man. Not a single doubt in my mind. And the abuse he himself admitted to, and the abuse he unleashes on others, or like in that call with Heather, the language and the names he's using, those are not things typically that somebody wakes up 30 years later and just starts doing. So there's a whole lot of things that if this was me, that I would potentially be upset about, but I also wouldn't have left the state. I wouldn't have not looked for my child. And I wouldn't have cared who wanted to help. And yeah, I would just tell everybody to go to hell. If you're not here looking with me, if you're not here on this search with me, then F off. Problem solved. But I respect anybody who is empathizing. I'm not without empathy for traumas people have experienced, but I just don't think it gives you carte blanche to say and do whatever you want without expecting the outcomes that have happened. When you're prank calling people and you're saying sick stuff, or you're telling somebody who has a YouTube channel you're telling them, you're talking about burying a kid in concrete, a joke or not, like, I no, it does not make sense. It does not make sense. And in the grand scheme of things, he's not looking. He was like never looking. She was like never looking. Seth was looking. Now I want to know where everybody is looking. And if they're not going to look, then fine, whatever. But who can? Who can? You know? Where do we go from here? I don't know. Maybe I will just reach out to Wait and Q myself and ask them if they're coming. Well, yeah, and everybody's talking about these prank calls, like the most recent one, like that's the first one he did. He's done handfuls of these prank calls, and I just can't even. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's just, um, someone is told you're probably responsible for your child's death and you know you're not. How would you and I handle this? Well, I would say initially the expectation, I think, when a child goes missing is the parents. And I look at Seth and he was like, well, what do you want? Whatever you want, that's fine. And most innocent parents are like, whatever you need me to do, polygraph, DNA, prick my finger, search my house, do what you got to do, get this over with, because I know you got to look at me so you can get out there and you can look for my kid. And hearing people speculate that there might be foul play and there wasn't, yes, I can imagine that would be extremely upsetting. That being said, when you claim to be so sure that nothing else could have happened, but they walked out the door and you never looked for them and you left the area because what? What are we supposed to believe? That you are not doing things because that would be what? Like a fruitless effort. And this is my opinion, I believe that there is genuine, when I see Katie, I do sometimes see genuine grief. But I guess time will tell. I don't think anybody knows anything with 100% certainty. And you're obviously new here. So if you had seen a lot of, I try to not even get into this kind of, a lot of this because I typically just try to focus on solutions and what's happening and what's the plan forward. And so my frustration has kind of been mounting. So I'm very, I'm more spicy tonight than normal because things are going in the wrong direction, in my opinion. It's going in the direction of a cold case. And but to answer it short and sweet, there is nothing in the entire universe that could stop me from finding my missing child. Nothing. Nobody could tell me no. It just isn't, it just would not happen. I could see if Katie was very involved, but Chris wasn't. And it's like, you know what? He's a stepdad. I mean, maybe he was detached, that happens, then that doesn't mean that you hurt somebody. And to make it clear, I have repeatedly said I do not believe he hurt him. But I guess I can say this. Yes, I believe they brought a lot of this on themselves. And if they really just don't care, and just don't want to look, and that is their prerogative, I won't respect it. I won't accept it. And the thoughts that I've now had to go down, because how much time has passed and all the puzzle pieces, I could pretend that I could try to avoid hurting somebody's feelings by pretending like I don't see the obvious. But that doesn't mean that all I need to talk about is what I think happened to him, because it doesn't matter. I mean, it really doesn't matter, because I'm not the judge. I'm not the jury. I'm not law enforcement. And no matter what I think, I can't do anything about that. So at this point, I'm probably just really mad today because the people that at least were actively organizing and having these big searches haven't done so in a long time. And now nobody's looking. So the reality is you have it's very upsetting when you think that everybody just doesn't give a shit anymore. And yes, I'm going to be even more mad at the first two people who didn't give a shit. And I'll own it. I will own it. And if he is found and he just said, they ran away because he was just like fed up with their strict BS and didn't want to have strict rules and everything's fine. Look, I have no problem saying, hey, my theories are wrong. I apologize. Doesn't mean I don't think that he's a total asshole. Absolutely do. Doesn't mean that I don't think she is a cold person for leaving. And we're not even just talking about most people's kids. We're talking about a child with special needs. And I respect your opinion. I mean, there's always going to be, we have to be that way. That is what makes us people, is that we're not all always going to be on the same page. And none of us will know anything until basically we find Sebastian at this point. Yes, you're correct, Annie. You are correct. Brandy, that's kind of where I've landed at this point. Yeah, Annie, I don't know. I guess I haven't paid enough attention to the work van, other than, it was parked there, and so many, like in a lot of news coverage I saw, the van was, parked outside the home. And they didn't want to talk about, the make, the model, whatever, on Nancy Grace. And sometimes it's hard for me to tell when people show clips of the house now, like if they're clipping from like old footage or if it's actually like new. So I can't tell if it really genuinely is still there or if someone's kind of clipping, because people are really tech savvy. So, yeah. So, yeah. But I mean, this is just where we are. But we have to be, respectful of one another's opinions. And I'm not saying I'm right, and I'm not saying anybody else is wrong or right. I think we're drawing our conclusions. And, again, for those that have been here, we don't spend a ton of time usually discussing a lot of the speculation and theories because there's so much of that elsewhere. But I'm not saying it's not okay to talk about it. And by talking about it, if there's a chance that you're on the right path, that can lead you to potential search locations. So, but there are also, really toxic ways to do it and really disrespectful ways to do it and, pure fabrication. And I do, anybody who's been here long enough, I am always wanting to know, where did you see that? What's your source? Email me the link. I didn't see it. And I just, I will even call out, like, I don't remember this. Do you have the link? Or did you read the news, or who said it? Because, I want to know the sources of things. That really helps me wrap my mind around the credibility of information. And it doesn't really make it to my list if I haven't been able to figure out where, that it came from, like, a credible source. So I did hear him say about the disappearance that law enforcement allegedly said to Chris that the disappearance would kind of like go down in history. And then I thought about a second one that the case would be studied for a really long time. Annie, I've watched one video on that channel, and I splish splash around, I find the people that I like, and sometimes I get like stuck on them, like kind of like when you're binge watching something on TV, like if you find somebody you love, like you just want to listen to everything, so I have, like, in my favorites, I talk about them, some of my favorites are like, I do like Pat Brown. I do like Peter Hyatt. I do love Deception Detective. Do I agree with them 100% of the time? No. Do I find a lot of value in them? Yes. Do I love to learn? Yes. I will listen to T-Rev sometimes. I will listen to Websleuths sometimes. I will listen. There was a time where the only people I was listening to was Hidden True Crime. But if, so there's a very small amount of the sensationalizer type creators that I listen to. And often I only have to listen to them because they're just, they get the dirty good sometimes. And sometimes you just have to go there just to listen to it, to figure out if it's worthy enough of your time, but that doesn't maybe mean that, I'm listening to them in my own personal time. But sometimes the dirtier you are, or maybe I don't know, the more brazen you'll be, then people they'll send you all the goods, and I don't know. So sometimes I just have to. I know who I don't like. I know who just, spreads unbelievable amounts of misinformation. Um, and I have to just keep my mouth shut because I need to absorb, maybe the comments or things like that. But I do try to, learn. Um, and there was nothing about that channel that I didn't was like having a problem with. It might just have been, for whatever reason I didn't go back. But I also like to believe that I'm pretty good at like smelling the BS, and I'm not saying that channel is. But there are other channels where, I just have a very limited tolerance, where I just have to go and read the transcript after, because I can't even, um, or they're 90% full of, what, and 10% was the scoop of the day that they landed, so, just like people are like really particular about their like main news source. Um, but if the one you don't like just happens to be covering a situation that's very important to you, you might just suck it up and change the channel, So, but no, I mean, I do listen to a lot of different things, and I'm open-minded to try to listen. But some I just can't do. But like, oh, and sweet tea with Don B, who was here with us the other night. Um, I love him. He's way better at summing things up in small bits, and he's quite a logical thinker, and I love that. And he's to the point, and I think he also doesn't try to indulge a lot in the nonsense. So yeah, he's also one of my favorites. Yeah, I think I did know that, Annie. I mean, it's just it's very interesting. I think, the sometimes if you're just a little too careful about, um, or maybe sometimes respectful about the things you will and will not talk about, that turns people off, and they just, they have to go the other direction. We're all human, so we're all going to go down this path, of theories and speculations, and, um, that sort of thing. But, you know, I personally can't, not that I don't swear and things like that. I do. But I certainly can't listen to like hours of it, and, you know, just crazy sound effects and all that stuff. Or like, when there's a lot of jokes and humor going on, um, it can bother me sometimes, because, there's not anything funny, when you're talking about a child that's missing. Or, there's a lot of people who do like try to be really funny about like the Chad and Lori Daybell situation. Like, I mean, I get their text messages could bring a lot of humor. Um, but like the actual incidents that occurred, I mean, it's just, It's beyond the pale. So anyways, I think that's about all I got for you guys tonight. I appreciate everybody that tuned in. Again, I completely appreciate everybody that was here sharing your opinions. Everybody here is just always so respectful, and doesn't attack one another for sharing their different opinions. And that's wonderful. And other than one night, and I haven't seen him back, which is good. Maybe it was just a one-time troll. I don't, even in the chat, I don't see people attacking one another for their differences in opinion. And I'd like to keep it that way rather than have 20,000 people talking at the same time and saying nasty things. I'd rather have, 80 people going back and forth and being more respectful of one another. So I hope it stays that way, because I have a lot of respect for everybody like that. And that is what I think motivates one another to figure out what's going on, how we can help, and how we can be a resource to other people when things like this happen. So on that note, it's a late one. So I hope everybody has a great night, and thank you so much again for tuning in, and I will talk to you guys again soon.